to the Retirement with and On Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Lawson, and this show is all about helping you not just reach retirement, but truly thrive in it. You've put in the work, now let's make sure you can enjoy every moment to the fullest. One thing I'm reminded of time and time again with clients that are retired is retirement goes so much beyond, I should say, a fulfilling retirement goes well beyond being financially prepared for retirement. It is just as much about kind of maintaining meaning and purpose and engagement. And so today's episode is all about these non-financial risk, really kind of qualitative risk to our retirement. The biggest, arguably, non-financial risk to retirement is loneliness. And this is not necessarily kind of reserved for retirees. Loneliness is something that all generations are combating right now. The Surgeon General released an advisory in 2023 raising alarm about the devastating health impact of loneliness. And one of the takeaways from that advisory is that loneliness increases risk for premature death to levels comparable to smoking daily. So it is very important for us to think about kind of this risk factor as we make that transition into retirement, because so much of our social engagement and interaction oftentimes takes place at the workplace. So how do we conquer loneliness and prepare for it? It sounds obvious, but it's worth stating. Maintaining a relationship with friends and family is critically important. It's so easy to get caught up in your day-to-day work, working out and tending to your chores at home. The last thing you may want to do after a long day at work and kind of tending to your home life is to change clothes and go right back out the door to share a meal or an outing with a friend or family member. But that becomes very, very important as time goes on. We've all, or not, many of us have probably seen that Harvard happiness study that's been taking place for decades now, talking about kind of the biggest contributors to long-term happiness. And time again, it's relationships. So really prioritizing relationships and nurturing those relationships prior to retirement can help ensure that we maintain engagement and can hopefully avoid some of the negative consequences of loneliness. Secondly, choosing a retirement location wisely. So I've got clients in metropolitan areas and I've got clients in more rural areas. And without question, those that are in or close to a metropolitan area have much more opportunities for engagement with peers. Not to say that those in rural areas don't find a way to stay engaged. It's oftentimes there's a much more abundant offering of ways to stay engaged in or around a metropolitan area in retirement. And then continuing care retirement communities. We'll do an entire episode dedicated to continuing retirement communities at some point, but they provide a wonderful way for people to maintain engagement and social interaction over the course of retirement. So if that's potentially in the cards for you in terms of how you might be able to spend your later retirement years, I strongly recommend looking into the potential pros of this type of setting. And then lastly, a way to consider conquering loneliness is just sharing your hobby with others. My wife and I love reading books, but right now we tend to just read by ourselves. Like many of us, it's easy just to kind of want to, after a long day, sit down with a good book and just be with yourself. Opening up this hobby and doing it with others, if it's books, maybe joining a book club at your local library or bookstore. The national sports craze right now, pickleball, giving that a try. Just finding ways to share in hobbies with others can really help conquer this this potential negative impact that loneliness can have on our well-being. Secondly, loss of purpose. So this is a big non-financial risk, especially for those that may have carried a title. Think doctor or attorney or sheriff or judge. For those folks, oftentimes work was more of a career and gave them a sense of purpose. And so when we think about purpose and where it comes from, oftentimes it comes from accomplishing things. So you set out to do this endeavor and you do it, and that gives you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. And the workplace can provide that, as we're oftentimes assigned tasks or projects to work on. And by doing those and achieving it, and sometimes getting recognition for that, that gives us a sense of purpose that all of a sudden can go away when we're no longer gainfully employed. How do we potentially combat that? Well, if we think about, again, purpose as coming from accomplishing things and working on a noble goal or desired outcome, we can continue to make progress towards other noble goals and desired outcomes outside of the workplace. So things, that can be considered simple, but can provide that, cleaning out the house, after years of maybe being in one place and working and not having time, cleaning it out, cleaning out the attic, organizing a family photo album so that you can leave that to kids, grandkids, and then remodeling the kitchen or bathroom. I mean, these are all things that can really kind of give us a project or task to work on and can help us feel accomplished as we make progress towards it. Loss of meaning is a third kind of non-financial risk that becomes very real for folks in retirement. Meaning often comes from being a part of something bigger than ourselves. And so, again, the workplace is a natural environment to feel like we're bigger, we're part of something bigger than ourselves. So, if you're with an employer that has, a mission statement that that you kind of buy into, you feel like you're working on something that's, again, much bigger than just you and your ideals. A lot of clients in healthcare have a sense of meaning that comes from their employment. They're helping save lives. I mean, you get so much meaning oftentimes from your employment, and when that goes away, it can be a real shock for folks. So, if we again define meaning as coming from being part of something bigger than ourselves, then let's just redirect that towards volunteering or getting involved with a nonprofit whose mission we align with. That can be a bigger mission than just, than ourselves, and something that we might be able to get behind. And then developing and or furthering our spiritual connection. And I won't spend too much time on this because this is certainly above my pay grade, but a spiritual journey is something, that a lot of folks will undertake. And I see a profound difference in my clients that have, a spiritual practice of some sort versus those that don't. The sense of kind of calmness and peace that they exude is very noticeable during their retirement years. So, again, finding that spiritual connection and nurturing it can give us a sense that we're again part of something bigger than ourselves. And then the last non-financial risk probably doesn't come as a surprise, but just lack of activity. So both mental and physical. So work can, for many of us, give us both ways to stay engaged mentally, but also physically. And so when we're removed from the workplace setting, it's easy for both of those to really atrophy. So some ways to stay engaged mentally, new things like continuing to read, crossword puzzles, different board games, learning to play chess or continuing to play chess, bridge. Those are great ways to stay engaged mentally. But then also lifelong learning programs. So a lot of public universities and private offer lifelong learning programs for adults. So if you've ever been interested in, poetry or World War II history or photography, more than likely there's a course through these universities for adults where you can go and continue to stay engaged mentally and learn about something you've grown interested in. Physical activity is the final component. Again, work for some is more physical than others, but transitioning from going to work and going to the office and having to walk to your car and to lunch, to being at home and getting a chance to watch TV as long as you want and not really having to walk any further than the refrigerator to get something to eat, can really invite a sense of just stagnation and lead us to become comfortable with just lack of physical activity. Again, that can really cause our health to decline much quicker and thereby cause us to not be able to go and enjoy those retirement dollars for as long as we may have liked. So maintaining engagement physically is also very important. One of my clients who retired and immediately hired a personal trainer still says during our ongoing review meetings that's one of the things she's most thankful that she did. Silver Sneakers is a wonderful program. The YMCA has fantastic programs for adults and retirees. So just making sure that you stay engaged both mentally and physically is critically important because as we know, the saying holds true. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that is true both with our mental faculties as well as our physical ones. As we close here, a successful retirement is not only being able to replace the income that work provides, but also being able to replace the social engagement, the purpose, the meaning, the activity. When we think about planning for retirement and creating a retirement that is everything we can imagine and more, we not only want to be sure we've adequately prepared financially, but we've also prepared for these non-financial risks to retirement. Thanks for tuning in to the Retirement with and On Purpose podcast. I hope you're walking away with new ideas and a fresh perspective on how to make the most of your retirement journey. And remember, retirement isn't the end. It's your time to live with purpose. Until next time, I'm Trevor Lawson. Here's to a fulfilling and thriving retirement.